Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the second character in the Children of the Atom edition, like makeup video series thingamabob or whatever you want to call it. But, excuse me, guys. But today I'm going to be talking about one of not only my favorite X-Men, but one of the more unique X-Men and/or mutant characters in the Marvel Universe. Today I'll be talking about Shiro Yoshida, also known as the Japanese-born mutant Sunfire. So let's get underway, guys. Let's get into Shiro's origins. Now, Shiro first appeared in Uncanny X-Men issue 64. Yeah, 64 in January of 1970, and he was created by Roy Thomas and Don Hack or Hick. I think it's pronounced Hack. Heck. And he's been part of the Avengers United Squad. He's part of the Uncanny Avengers currently in Marvel now. He's been part of the X-Men. He was a former Horseman of Apocalypse. It says Death's Champion, Pacific Overlords, X Corporation, Mumbari, the 12, Big Hero 6, and the Marauders. And here's Sunfire's abilities basically in a nutshell. He basically is a mutant with the ability to absorb solar radiation and convert it into ionized matter into fiery plasma, which can burst into flames when exposed to oxygen. He can release this from his hands as deadly blasts of searing heat, deadly radiation, explosive concussive force, or simply flames. And by ionizing the air around him, he can surround himself with an aura of intense heat with enough intense heat that it can actually melt steel or fly by focusing his auras downwards in a tight stream of gas to propel himself like a rocket. He can see heat by shifting his vision from visible light to infrared. He also has the ability to form a psionic force field using his plasma as protection from heat and radiation. Both that and his own generation and that from outside sources. In a similar fashion to the Human Torch's Nova Burst, he is capable of increasing his plasma output to temperatures around at least 1,000,000 degrees Fahrenheit and emitting it as in an omnidirectional blast. And he actually at one point transferred his powers to Rogue in order to defeat Lady Deathstrike after she had cut off his legs. This, like Miss Marvel before him, left him still a mutant but powerless. And after his transformation into Famine of Apocalypse's four horsemen, his powers and legs were returned, and he could now only use them to create flashes of light that affected sections of the human brain that controlled hunger, causing any people who saw his light flashes to feel like they were starving. Due to further genetic enhancement from Apocalypse, he also was able to secrete a specialized bio-oxygen from his skin, which allowed him to breathe and conjure his flames even in the vacuum of space. However, even without his powers, Shiro is actually an accomplished martial artist and has displayed impressive hand-to-hand skills on several occasions, and stated that he didn't need to employ his powers in order to defeat hand ninjas. He is trained in karate, judo, and kendo, the Japanese samurai swordsman skill, and he is also an expert in the combat use of his superhuman powers, which is at least peak human physical ability. Now let me explain to you guys. Now let me get into his actual origins. Okay. Shiro Yoshida was born to a mother who suffered radiation poisoning due to the exposure of the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. As a result, he was actually born in... Hold on. Big word here. Name of the town. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to spell it out. Agarashima. Another, like, I guess a town or county, quote unquote, in another part, like, I guess an opposite of Hiroshima, like a sister city. But he found out that he was a mutant that possessed solar radiation powers. His mother, however, would die of radiation poisoning when he was young, and Shiro would grow to hate the U.S. Despite the influence of his father, who was an ambassador at the UN, who was more tolerant of the U.S., his greedy uncle, Tomo, inspired him to take up the identity of Sunfire and engage in a one-man battle against the U.S. As Sunfire, he attacked the U.S. Capitol and battled the X-Men. Later, he actually saw his uncle kill his father. Distraught, he actually killed his uncle and surrendered to the authorities. Later, he would battle the Submariner, and then alongside Namor, he would battle the Dragon Lord. He also would battle Iron Man, but was abducted by the Mandarin, who he used to power one of his machines. When he was freed alongside Iron Man, he actually battled the indestructible android known as Ultimo. Months later, Professor X would actually recruit Shiro to join a new team of X-Men to rescue the originals from the living island. Krakoa, there we go. Krakoa, the living island. And Sunfire would actually accompany the fledgling X-Men on this mission. However, he resigned from the team before receiving official membership. This was mainly due to his arrogance and his irrational temper, which he was known for. Sunfire would later battle Iron Man and the Second Guardsman. With the X-Men, he would actually battle Moses Magnum, and then later among the heroes summoned by the Grand Master for the first Contest of Champions, in which he battled Darkstar. With the X-Men, he battled an alien dragon, and alongside Cable, Wolverine, and the New Mutants, he actually battled Cable's alternate self, known as Strife, and the Mutant Liberation Front. Sunfire would later battle the Corruptor and Deadline, and afterwards, Shiro would actually become hypnotized by Dr. Demonicus into joining his Pacific overlords. And alongside Peely, Sunfire would actually battle Namor, Spider-Woman, and Hawkeye, and he would receive a new set of armor, and with the X-Men he battled the inhabitants of the Void. Alongside Gambit, he would later battle the Hand. Sunfire's life would become involved with the X-Men once again when Apocalypse actually kidnapped him, and he became one of the 12, a group of unique mutants Apocalypse required to obtain the power to warp reality. Later on, he would become a member of X Corporation, a non-government organization devoted to the protection of human mutant rights. Sunfire would actually join the Mombari branch of X Corp, and he would attempt to combat the powerful villain known as Titanus, a reject of the Super Skrull program, who made his way to Earth before being brainwashed by the alien race to serve as their ultimate weapon. Attempting to contain Titanus, Sunfire practically summoned the entire Japanese military to confront him, but the powerful foe defeated Sunfire and the army with ease, and was only barely defeated by a new team that had been hastily assembled by Doctor Strange to combat this threat. Later it is revealed that Sunfire had worked with Rogue and Mystique back when Sunfire was still working with Tomo, and Rogue was a member of the Brotherhood of the Evil Mutants. Working with them was a girl called Blindspot, who at the time was allied with the Brotherhood and had the power to erase and restore memories. The four went on a mission to steal Dark Lord Wind's, the father of Lady Deathstrike, adamantium bonding process. Mystique would later cut her ties with Blindspot, who she did not trust, since she always erased her tracks once a contract ends. Blindspot wipes the memories of anybody who was involved so no one will remember her. Later, she discovered Lord Blackwind wanted all four dead for trying to steal his adamantium process. Realizing how the others were in danger with no memory of the mission to steal his adamantium process, Blindspot went back to Japan to erase his memory of the ordeal. When she got there, she discovered that his daughter, who had later become Deathstrike, had already killed him. Blindspot was able to erase Deathstrike's memories as well, yet as Deathstrike was more machine than woman, she was able to restore her memories the same way one would a hard drive. Deathstrike would kidnap Blindspot, who released a photo of Sunfire, Rogue, and Mystique to attract their attention to save her. Though Mystique never came, Rogue joined Sunfire, whose reputation had become ruined by the photograph, in Tokyo to discover why they were framed and who was responsible. The two ran into Deathstrike, who in a heated battle actually cut off Sunfire's legs and leaving him in a critical condition. Rogue surrendered to Deathstrike, who imprisoned the two. Then Rogue, who met Blindspot, then when they met Blindspot, Rogue's memories would be restored and explained to her what was going on. When Deathstrike discovered that the three were not actually responsible for stealing the adamantium, she went to kill them to destroy any evidence of what she had done. A weak Sunfire asked Rogue to absorb his power so that she could battle Deathstrike. Rogue had previously lost the powers of Carol Danvers that she had taken and was hesitant. She worried that she would harm Sunfire, but Blindspot pushed her on Sunfire's face, causing her to absorb all his powers and potentially kill him. With it, she also contained Sunfire's personality, similar to how she once had Denver's personality within her. Sunfire's personality controlled her. Rogue went out on revenge for Deathstrike, severely injuring the woman. The X-Men arrived just in time to intervene, but Blindspot erased Rogue's memories of being an X-Men, causing her to see her teammates as her enemies. After a brief altercation, her memories were restored, and she told the X-Men what had happened to Sunfire. They went to where Rogue last saw Sunfire, but his body was missing, leading to some X-Men to believe that he was somehow still alive. However, it would be revealed that Sunfire had been rescued by a mysterious group of ninjas and taken to a hospital in Aspen. After being revived from his coma, the world's leading specialist in prosthetic limbs, Masanori Kuzuya offered him his services. Before the reasoning behind the rescue could be revealed, Apocalypse appeared and offered Sunfire the chance for vengeance as well as the recovery of his lost limbs and power in return for his services as one of his new horsemen. Sunfire would accept this offer, but after being chained away and locked in a prison while listening to the tortured screams of Geza, another one of the new horsemen, Sunfire would try to escape, unable to leave Geza to his fate. Sunfire went back to free him. However, his transformation into the Horseman War had already been completed, and War attacked Sunfire. Captured again, he was transformed into the Horseman known as Famine. When he launched his attack on the X-Men, Sunfire caused an intense feeling of hunger and weakness in the mutants and humans on the Institute grounds. As he was fighting the X-Men, Havoc shot him down, and Rogue, who had recognized him, caught him as he fell. He was taken to the medical lab, and Emma Frost entered his mind in an attempt to help him. When Apocalypse departed, he sent War to retrieve Famine, but Shiro broke free from Apocalypse's control and attacked War. Shiro was last seen running off with the unconscious body of Gambit, like him, a former X-Men turned Horseman. At the temple where Sunfire first took Gambit, Mr. Sinister told them, "I am glad you both feel able to move on from the past, for I am your future." And later Shiro would be shown as a member of the Marauders, still in the form of Famine, and alongside Gambit, Sunfire would actually attack Cable, who destroys Providence. He subsequently attacks an escaping Cannonball and Iceman, but is taken down by Cannonball and is taken prisoner. Though Cannonball and Iceman consider interrogating him for information as to who he is working for, Cannonball decides against it, knowing that Sunfire would never confess. Instead, Iceman neutralizes the Sunfire's artificial mutant abilities on a subatomic level using his own mutant abilities, and while Cannonball fights him, Sunfire is later held captive in the Blackbird and is rescued by his fellow Marauders. After being rescued by the Marauders, however, he would join fellow members Gambit, Prism, Blockbuster, Malice, Lady Mastermind, and Scalp Hunter when they travel to Cooperstown, Alaska to find the baby, but instead come across the Purifiers and they come to blows. He then participates in a battle alongside the Marauders and Acolytes against the X-Men. The next time Sunfire is seen, he is with Gambit, Vertigo, and Malice at Eagle Plaza, Texas. taking on Bishop for the Messiah baby. He is involved in the battle on Mir Island over the mutant baby's fate and is apparently knocked unconscious at some point. As it is revealed later that Bishop categorized the wound of his severed arm by pressing it against Sunfire's unconscious but still flaming body. And as far as I can tell, guys, I'm looking through here, making sure that I didn't miss anything. And yeah. Yeah, okay, and it says after Xavier was injured by Bishop, everybody went their separate ways, including the surviving members of the Marauders. And yeah, we lead into Marvel Now with Sunfire. He practically, yeah, that's it, guys. Yeah, that is actually it. An interesting fact, he is actually the brother of the superheroine Sunfire and is the cousin of Miriko, who was Wolverine's fiance and is the half-brother of Silver Samurai. Yeah, thought I'd actually throw that out there at the last, but anyway, guys, that's it. This has been Sunfire's video. Hope you guys actually enjoyed it, and let's go on to the third and final one, at least for the last couple of weeks. So, on to the next one.